It is now April of 2018, and guess what? Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean drinking water. Their residents still are not able to turn on their faucet and get clean drinking water. It still has lead in it. But in spite of that fact, the governor of Michigan, Rick Snyder, has declared the crisis to be over. So according to Salvatore Nicholas of Washington Press, residents of Flint, Michigan have been without clean water for almost 5 years. Today, the thirsty residents found out the Republican governor, who allowed lead to poison the city's water supply, will no longer be providing the town with bottled water. The water crisis in Flint has flowed in and out of the news cycle since late 2015, when Republican Governor Rick Snyder requested bottled water to be distributed to inhabitants after the town's mayor declared a crisis in late 2015. The program was intended to be a safe alternative to the city's lead-polluted tap water. The duration of the program was supposed to be contingent upon reaching safe levels of lead in the water. Even though those levels have yet to be reached, MLive reports Snyder has decided to cut the program. We have worked diligently to restore the water quality, and the scientific data now proves the water system is stable and the need for bottled water has ended, Snyder noted in a press release. Continuing, since Flint's water is now well within the standards set by the federal government, we will now focus even more of our efforts on continuing with the health, education, and economic development assistance needed to help move Flint forward. Though Snyder claims the issue has been resolved, Flint Mayor Karen Weaver disagrees. After the announcement was made today, Weaver sent a letter to her greedy governor imploring him to continue providing the service. As I have stated before and will continue to say, this is not what I want for our city, and I stand by my position that free bottled water should be provided to the people of Flint until the last known lead-tainted pipe has been replaced, she pleaded. So essentially, because Flint's condition has improved slightly, because some pipes that had lead in them were replaced, well, Rick Snyder is just declaring it over. The issue is now solved, and there's no longer a need for bottled water. But when you talk to Flint residents and hear what they have to say, well, they tell us a different story. This is a video that was actually posted to Twitter on April 8th, and it shows that their water is still very much contaminated. So clearly, in declaring this crisis over, Rick Snyder is ignorant, and he simply doesn't care about the residents of Flint. I mean, throughout this whole time, him allowing this to happen in the first place, his continued ambivalence, I don't understand how he hasn't been impeached yet for his incompetence and the way he grossly mishandled this issue, but here he is, tooting his own horn, declaring this crisis over as residents are still reporting to have lead in their drinking water. Now, when it comes to water bills in Flint, on average, they were the highest in the country, one of the highest in the country, at the height of this lead contamination crisis. And according to AJ Plus, since the water was contaminated and couldn't be used, a lot of Flint residents decided to stop paying their bills, and rightfully so. But now, in order to do basic things like flush the toilet, they're literally having to melt snow down in order to flush it, and this video was posted on April 9th. So clearly, the issue is far from over. The residents of Flint do not have clean drinking water yet. They don't. And the way that the residents of Flint have been treated is a scandal in and of itself, because when some of these residents decided to take a stand and stop paying their water bill, I would have done that because I'm not going to pay for poison. It's the principle. Well, what they've tried to do in Flint is attach their water bills to their property taxes. So that way, if they don't pay for them, then they could then put a lien on their houses, on the houses of homeowners in Flint. I mean, how absurd is that? How ridiculously scandalous is that? Why would anyone in their right mind pay for poison water? Who would do that? Certainly, if you're going to pay for water, then I expect that water to be clean and not contaminated. But to insist that they pay for their poison water is absurd. But yet they're being punished if they're doing something that is logical, not paying for their poison water. So in general, getting back to this story about the issue basically being declared over and bottled water no longer being distributed to Flint, it's another slap in the face to the residents of Flint. And I don't know how I would deal with this. I mean, certainly these are American citizens living in the richest country in the world, with conditions that are similar to third world countries. Now, I'm bringing up that comparison. I'm not suggesting that Americans are inherently better or that their lives are more valuable than citizens in third world countries, but we have a country, we have a government with the resources to take care of 100% of our population. So the fact that we have citizens that have gone on this long with poison water, it shouldn't happen. It's an absolute outrage. I'm glad that finally they're getting funding to replace their lead-contaminated pipes. Yes, we're all thankful for that. Should there be more money? Yeah, I think so. But you don't cut off a program that's crucial before the crisis is over. All that Rick Snyder had to do is talk to a resident from Flint, and they would have told him, no, it's not over. Look at our water. It's still yellow. Would you drink this? I wouldn't drink it, and I know that Rick Snyder wouldn't drink it, but he just doesn't give a damn about the residents of Flint. So the most that we can do for those of us who don't live in Flint is try to shine a light on this issue, but I don't think that it's going to affect Rick Snyder in any way, shape, or form. He just doesn't care. It's as simple as that.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.